What's up, y'all? Well, as promised, here's the carburetor rebuild video. This is the carburetor off the wagon. It's a Edlebrock 1406. So, background story. When I first bought the wagon, it ran reasonably well. But after a little bit of time, getting some of the old gas out of it, I think some of it started clogging up the needles and seats in here. And I was having issues with the car flooding out. I kind of did fix it by tapping on the sides, tapping on the top of the carburetor with the hammer, and it did seem to fix it. But I want to pull the top off to get down in there and actually either clean and or replace what I got to do. And I went on Amazon and I bought a master rebuild kit. This is a nice one. It comes with new floats, new needles and seats, new accelerator piston, a little ruler, I guess, to measure the depth of the floats, because you won't have to adjust those, and of course all the gaskets, a couple springs, etc. To clean the passages, I got this penetrant spray. You can use carb cleaner, brake cleaner, whatever. It's got to be some type of solvent, and this might not be that great of a solvent. These might be not that great of a solvent, but they're what I have on hand. So you can also use just gasoline as well, like fresh gasoline as well. So this is going to be more of a generalized video. It ain't going to be specifically towards the wagon that's all over there, but so that's why I didn't cover disassembly instructions, which really is just a couple linkages right here, a couple of hoses here, and a wire for the electric choke if it's hooked up, then whatever fuel line you have, and the 4 bolts around the outside of it. That's about it. Then you just pop it off and you're on your way. If it's been on, the carburetor's been on a car that was recently running, or just recently stopped running, be careful. These are full with gasoline, so when you pull it apart, you'll have to dispose of it somehow. I got a catch can right down here, so I'll be able to pull the top off, put it down here, dump it over, dump it out, etc. And same thing when I go to spray in the passages, I'll hold it over the catch can and spray what I can out. Though this is mostly just a cleaning and regasketing thing. I'm not going to do a full rebuild. I might pull these out to spray in there. So yeah. Now this carburetor is a 600 CFM. So full progressive linkage, as in when you pull on when you hit the throttle, both the primaries will open up a little bit first, then the secondaries will open up with the pedal. If it was a vacuum secondary, the pedal will only control the primaries, and the speed of the air will open up the secondaries. This does have a choke lockout, where if the choke is only open a little bit, it won't open up the secondaries, or at least not as much. And it also has a little air door in here to where it'll open up only as much as it needs to allow the air capacity the engine wants. So if it's a bigger engine, this will open up further than, say, if it was on like a 298 or something like that, or 273, whatever, or even a V6. So that's just some little facts about this specific carburetor. Holley has variations of the same thing, but those run on the completely different principles. This one works more like the thermoquad that's supposed to be on the wagon. They're both the same style, AFV style carburetor versus whatever their Holleys are. And Holleys are generally more better for a whole lot of performance, where these are better for like OEM replacements. I've come to notice. Either way, you can't go wrong. A decent Edlebrock will run just fine. A Holley probably just easier, really just easier to tune, because you don't have to pull the whole thing apart to change the jets. This does have some tuning things so you could just without pulling the thing off, like the metering rod springs and the needles, of course the choke and the idle vacuum screws, the idle mixture screws, and there will be a freaking airplane flying. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the top off. It's just a few Torx bits off. Well, actually, first I'm gonna pull these metering rod plates off. They're a little strip, but I should be able to get those out no problem. Then after I get those out, I'll pull all the top bolt plates off, the top plate bolts off. So see y'all in a second. Alrighty, so I got all the linkages just taken off. You got this little linkage here for the choke, for the choke adjustment, and they all got these little tiny like 8 clips right here. All I did was just put them back in their grooves so I know where they go. You want to make sure you do something like that to make sure you don't lose them, whether you put them off to the side. There's one for the accelerator pump. I took this one all the way off because there's no actual like hold down for the part that goes onto the actual throttle. You also want to make note of where this was. This one was in the middle, so I wanted to try to put it back in the middle. This is a tuning item right here. You put in any one of these 3 holes, and they change the ratio. Like right here to be the softest, the least amount of fuel, where this one over here was the most amount of fuel. This one was in the middle, so it was somewhere in between. So it was in between. Holley has a similar thing, but they also let you change the discharge nozzles in here, which I think this one lets you do too. Right here, I think this comes oss and it lets you change the discharge nozzle, but not exactly sure. I'll know once I get in there. And there was also the other one for the fast idle thing, and it's the same deal. You just pull the clip off and put the clip back on. So that up here where the metering rods are, you want to make sure you have them separated, because they might be different per side. They shouldn't be, but you never know. These springs, they go into these little plunger things, and these are a tuning item. These are probably what we most likely going to tune if you go to tune the carburetor. And they also got these needles. These are also a tuning item, though these are more for aggressive tuning. This is more for like part throttle, or part throttle transitions and stuff like that, where this is actually for like all out performance. You also want to check them for wear, which this one here looks dirty. And it's got a couple scratches on it, so it probably is smart to change this one. But my biggest concern is this one. It's a little bent on the bottom. I'm still going to use it. I got no other choice. So, whatever. Then I also have this side went to this side, and this one went to this side. So that's how I have them separated out. And I also got the little screws in there. They're only the little 1/4 inch screws, so I just ran it. So now I'm gonna take these out. These are also a tuning item. So this is more for your idle. when I get the carburetor on, I'll go through the procedure on how to tune this. So pull that out. Similar idea. I want to put them on the side that they came out on. So, and you also probably smart to check these, make sure they're not all pitted up, worn down, or have something crazy going on. And it's got a little wear spot right there. Maybe it'll focus. It's got a little wear spot right there, but I'm not going to be concerned about it. I don't know how old this carburetor is, so who knows, that could be just from age. I'm also going to pull this little plug off as well. And I'm going to start taking off the screws on the top. You want to make sure you got a screw that's the right size, but since these are all Torx, I'm not exactly sure what size Torx this is. It doesn't say, but you want to make sure you got the correct size, because these cans strip out very easily because they're a steel screw going to an aluminum carburetor. So they shouldn't be tightened down that much, but galvanic corrosion and whatnot can make them tough to get out. And the reason why I took the linkages off, so it'll be easier to just pull the top straight off. If it was in the car, you kind of have to do some finagling to manipulate it around the way you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and get these off, and I'll get back to you with the carburetor open. Alright, so I got all the screws out of the top. I pulled them in this way. That's the way they came out of, because I wasn't sure they're all the same size or not. But since they are, I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm just going to put them off over to here out of the way so I don't lose them. But literally, since this is designed to come on and off multiple times, this gasket might be fine, but the rebuild kit's got a new one, so I'm not too worried about it. And this is a tuning item you do take off, so you get into the inside. And right there are the floats, the gasket, the accelerator pump, pretty much the inner guts. So needles and seats are at the top, so that's really what I want to try to get to. And there's a lot of trash at the bottom of it, so I want to try to get that as clean as possible, because those could clog up these whatever these are called, venturis, and as well as the accelerator nozzle. So this is a tuning item. You do change these, and it looks like these might be tuning on them too. You might be able to change these, I guess, for a different style. Venturis. As you see, the back ones are sort of like a spread bore, where these are much bigger. The secondaries are much bigger than the primaries, but the engine only pulls so much. So this door right here only opens so much. So bigger the displacement, the bigger the draw, it'll open up more. Which I believe on this engine only opens up about that far, so about 3/4 of the way. This is a 305. I believe it was a 350 to open up all the way. I'm not exactly sure. And it looks like there are some acceleration pump jets right there too. So what I'm basically going to do is just dump all this gas out and probably start taking these Torx screws off one by one. Kind of spray some of the penetrate in there. So yeah. Mostly I'm going to dump this all out. That way I could get rid of all this gas. It kind of smells bad. I don't like the smell of gas, honestly. So let me get that done, and I'll get back to you once I figure out a plan of how exactly I want to attack this. So, see y'all in a bit. Alrighty, so I got the carburetor pretty much disassembled as far as I'm willing to go, / need to go. I got all the innards right here, floats, and needles and seats, and the jets right here. They're based off of what side they came off of, so this is everything on the right side, this is everything on the left side. So there's that. I got all the gaskets off, only one of them ripped on me, fortunately. But I'm going to replace them all anyway, so not a big deal. Now the fun part is trying to get all this nasty goopiness out of here, specifically in the float bowls and whatnot, and like I said, with the WD-40 and the spray things over there, I want to put them in all these little passages that I can, and try to get some of that crap out of the whole system. Now these seats, I do have them in the kit, but I don't have a tool to get those out. I thought I had a big enough flathead screwdriver, but I don't. And even then, you're not really supposed to use the flathead screwdriver on these, but you know, I did it with the jet, so whatever. I'm just gonna run those. Hopefully that don't come back to bite me in the ass, but we'll figure it out. When you pull these floats off, you'll kind of want to shake them around, make sure there ain't no fluid in there. Because if there is, that means they got a hole in it, you'll have to replace them. Fortunately, my kit's got these anyway. I'm going to use them because these are kind of nasty. They're all green from the alcohol and the modern gas. So, yeah. Well, I'm going to start spraying these out, and you also use compressed air from like a compressor. You just want to be kind of careful with them, especially in these little passages, because there might be check balls and stuff in there that I don't know about. And you just don't want to hurt anything. Probably set your compressor about, say, maybe 80 psi. This should be, actually, probably about 60 psi. There should be plenty of air to blow a lot of this stuff out. So, anyway, I'll see y'all in a bit once I get this stuff kind of cleaned out. I might grab some Q-tips and kind of swab around the corners and whatnot, but we'll see what happens. I'll see what happens when I put the WD-40 in it, and I might have some brake cleaner around here somewhere to kind of get the major stuff right here off. I mean, it's coming off with my finger, so brake cleaner should be able to take that off, no problem. Anyway, I'll see y'all in a second. Alrighty, so I got the carburetor looking much better. Definitely not perfect, especially in that spot right here. But I think it's good enough to run. So yeah, I did all the venturis, the acceleration, the nozzle thingy right there, all that. I didn't bother working on these because I got replacements. Same thing, replacement one of those. So yeah, I used some Q-tips to kind of scrub around in the little crevices. I did the same thing to the top. And got all the jets nice and clean, as you can see right through them. So now it's time to for disassembly. So I'll see y'all in just a second. So I got pretty much the new parts all laid out of what I'm going to be installing. Now some of this stuff you're not going to use because it's a universal kit. So what you do, you take like an old gasket, say the top gasket, and you match it up with one of the gaskets laying around. Like, see, this one is slightly different. The old gasket's got these large ovals. This gasket doesn't. But this one has the large ovals, so I'd have to use this specific gasket, and that's pretty much how you do it. The floats, I'm just gonna pick a side and kind of lay it next to the old float and try to get the this bend exactly the same. See how that one's bent up a little bit? So I'm going to bend this up a little bit, try to get exactly the same. And I'll get the floats pretty much set. So, yeah. Then you just go and putting it all away and reassemble it. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting these jets back in. You're just going to want to snuggle them up. You don't need to tighten down so tight that they strip out. Just put it in to where they stop and probably give it like another quarter turn. That's pretty much with all these screws. You don't need to go crazy on them, especially the top screws, because these are designed to be taken on and off. So be mindful. Don't go crazy. So just snug them down, and maybe another like quarter turn, maybe even an eighth of a turn. So that's all you need. I'm gonna go ahead and get this stuff all put back together, and I'll give you some last minute thoughts. Oh, if you want the part number to this gasket set, it's right here. So there's that. Alrighty, so see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, so I got the secondaries in. Don't worry, this air door, I guess is what it's called, only fits in one way. So if it drops in one way, that's pretty much how it goes. If you try to flip around the other way, it won't go in. But I'm getting ready to put the primary Venturis back on, and this is my gasket, but there's not really a gasket that matches up 100%, except these ones right here look like they're close enough. They got oblong slots, but all the holes kind of line up. As you see, the holes lined up, so I'm going to find the other one that looks exactly like that one, which is this one right here. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so that's one thing you gotta look out for. Since this is a universal set, some of the gaskets might be a little bit different, but as long as all the holes line up on how they gotta go, then you're pretty much all set. You don't have to worry about anything. Alrighty. There's also this one that will probably work too. So I'll see y'all in just a second. Let me get this figured out 100% with one, and I'll update you right back. So it looks like that's the gasket that will work, because this other one right here, since that's a full round hole, this little air bleed right here gets in the way of the gasket, so that's the one I gotta use. Hopefully it'll work. I'm pretty sure it will, so yeah. Let me get the whole thing, get it assembled up to the discharge nozzle, and I'll just figure it out from there. Alright, so see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, so I got the primaries in. I kind of had to walk them down with the screws, so because a little bit of the lip of the gasket was kind of up against the side, so kind of tighten down one a little bit and the other one and walk back and forth. I got those in. I already picked out the gasket for the discharge nozzle, and this discharge nozzle had this little square check thingy in it that goes right into this hole up here, just like that. Which is the only other hole you can use, because this hole is blocked off. I guess it's for like a different style carb. So that goes right in there. Then of course, discharge nozzle goes right in there. Just like that. And you tighten those down, and that's pretty much everything inside the base. And we got to move to the top next. So let me get the discharge nozzle tightened down just where it's supposed to be, then I'll move this out of the way and start working on the top. Alright, I'll see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, so I'm getting ready to assemble the top. I'll reassemble the top rather. And like I said, I can't get these out because I don't have an appropriate size flathead on me. Honestly, they look fine inside, so I'm not going to worry about too much. I am going to replace the needles, which are these things right here. Here's the old one. And same thing, this kit comes with like 2 different types of needles. There's this type with the hollow inside. Then this type with a little nub thing. The old ones have the nub thing, so I'm going to run these. What you do, this little plastic rubber tip, it's got to go down inside that little pocket right there where that hole is, because that's what turns the gas off to that specific float. So you just drop it in like that, and as the float drops down, these will drop down and open it up till it gets enough fuel, and the float will rise and seal it up. So that's how that is. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other needle in. Now I'll assemble one float, and then I'll show y'all how I did with the other side. And same thing with the accelerator nozzle, the accelerator discharge plunger, accelerator pump, not plunger, whatever you want to call it. Show you how I got that set. So yep, see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, so I got one float in, and there is a specific depth of these that you have to pay attention to. All I did was I put the old float up against it in the same orientation, and I just lined up the holes for the pivot to I put it in the same orientation, lined up the float to the float, then I bent the new float into the same position that the old float was, so hopefully that's close enough for it to work. I'm getting ready to do the same thing to the other side. So I put them on top of each other, about the same spot, and as you see, the float's got the pivot on the new float's got to come down a little bit. So I'll go ahead and bend that. These are designed to be bent, but I would imagine bent too much, it'll cause problems. So I'll check it. It's gonna be bent more. So bend it a little bit more. Getting closer. And a little bit more. Yeah, that's basically how I do it. I can't do it one-handed. So let me get it bent and put in. Then this little pivot, it literally just slides in. There's nothing really retaining it, except for maybe this little thing right here. So yeah, let me get the other side in and whatnot. The accelerator nozzle or pump thing just goes into that little hole right there, and you connect the linkage up. Well, I'll show that here in a second. So Let's stand by for a second. Alrighty guys, unfortunately I had to put the old floats back in because on these floats that where they welded is a little too low or high, something like that, and they weren't fitting in properly. But there was no problem with the old floats anyway, so that's not a big deal. I might just keep these around just in case. The one thing I did notice is that the float heights on these old ones were set very incorrectly. They were too low, which if these are too low, is going to let too much fuel into the carburetor, which could cause the flooding condition I was having. It's easier if you have one, but a 7/16 drill bit should just barely be able to fit underneath here. But you can also use a tape measure and just measure it up. And like I said, these are designed to bend a little bit, so you just bend them into place where they're supposed to. So that's the choke adjust. That's not choke adjustment. That's the float adjustment, which is what I think was my problem with this carburetor. All right. So now I'm just gonna stick the what the heck's this thing called? The accelerator pump into its spot, which is right there. Then not drop the clip. So this clip's got to slide into here as well as into here, and then this got to screw onto here. So I'm going to do that off camera because I can't do that one-handed, unfortunately. So see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, once again, this universal kit has things that don't fit quite right, such as the whole mechanism for the accelerator pump. All I did was take the little O-ring plunger thingy off of the new one, put it on the old one. So not a big deal. That's just one other thing. That's why I have the linkage. So now I believe I could put everything back in. So take the carburetor base. Kinda wish I had a carburetor stand, but I don't. Take the new spring. I believe it goes into this one. This helps return the accelerator nozzle, pump nozzle thing back into its proper spot. And this literally just drops down, right down in, like that. Oh, I forgot the gasket, my dummy. So gently pull this back out. Just place it on my lap for now. And remember, make sure you use the right gasket. This is the one I tested out earlier. So make sure all the holes line up. Oh, I did another dummy thing. I got to put the gasket on the top because otherwise float's getting in the way. So hold on a second, guys. I'm learning as I go myself, so be right back in a second. Alrighty, now that I have the gasket installed properly, as you see, the gasket goes underneath right here, underneath or on top of the floats. So now it's just lining it up. Make sure those float pins don't fall out, and just gently dropping it on. There's going to be a little bit of spring pressure on this side, so that's normal. And yeah, now it's just putting all the bolts on the top back, making sure I don't forget anything before I do that. I think we all good, so let me get the bolt screw started. So yeah, let me get the top secured down, and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, sorry about the rain. It decided it wanted to start raining today, even though I had all weekend to do it. But anyway, So I'm going to start screwing it down. I'm going to go in a crisscross. I don't think it's required, but I'm going to do it in a crisscross pattern. I'm going to start from this screw and go up to this screw and work my way around like that. So I'm doing it this way because this spring pressure on this accelerator pump right here, and I want this top to go down nice and evenly. Like, I'm not even going to tighten this down, or just get to where it kind of snugs up a little bit, then work my way around just like that. So go to where it snugs up just a hair. Then after I get all the screws set, then I'll go down and give it that that last little oomph to make sure they're seated properly. Just like that. So all I'm doing is making sure the screws go down properly, and that this air horn is tightened down evenly. This is just aluminum. It can warp with it unexpectedly. So and if it warps, it's not going to work properly, and it's probably going to leak fuel all over the place, which is something you really want to avoid. Alright, so now that I got that last screw snug down, I'm going to go around and give everything a nice, I guess about nice half turn to tighten it down. Kind of got my knee braced up against it so it doesn't slide around on me. Which kind of isn't helping, but you know, it's an effort. Alright, so this is the last screw. There's only 8 screws on the top, so that's it right there. That's all I want / need to do. Let the gasket do its job, which is seal. So now it's just attaching all the little linkages, like the choke linkage, the accelerator pump linkage, and throttle linkage, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna do that off camera. So let's see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, so I got all the linkages back in place. The choke linkage is running like that. It comes back from behind with the clip right here. Now the kit did come with new clips, but honestly the old clips were fine, so use whatever. I just kind of grabbed whatever ones that were available. This choke linkage up here that controls the lockout for the secondaries, and really actually it mostly controls the fast idle. This one you kind of put it in the wrong way. First of all, this clip right here is kind of like 8 shaped, or shaped like an 8 or whatnot. So that goes in a certain way, and you got to swing it up. Then this will let you put it in over here, which will lock the flap closed, which is not what you want. So it's got to come down from the back, and it goes in from the front, then locked on the back. The accelerator pump linkage just slides in on the bottom for some reason. I don't know why they didn't make it a little more sturdier. But so it slides in from the bottom and comes in from the front as well, and it locks in on the back. But remember, this is a tuning item. You can set to any of these three. This is less fuel, and the very end is more fuel. Mine was set to the middle, so I just left it in the middle. Now I want to put the metering rods in. Whenever this one was bent, I already went and kind of unbent it a little bit. It's not perfect, but it should be much better than what it was. Normally, any type of damage you want to replace these, but since these, I don't have these on hand, I'm just going to send it. So, and these springs are also a tuning item. I guess these are the most common things you'll replace if you have any tuning issues. Where if it's anything's even further off, you have to go deep, go inside the carburetor to change it. So there's different strengths of these springs that raise certain ones. I'm not sure what this one is. I'm sure the coating has been eaten off from the gasoline. And these, you want to make sure you go put them in the right way. The rod goes into the little skinny hole, and the piston goes in the other hole. Same thing with the other side, which I want to clean up a little bit. I don't inspect it, make sure there ain't no damage. Which I do feel wear, so hopefully that don't bite me in the ass later on. You know, as long as this car runs better than what it was and doesn't flood out on me, I'll call this a success. So there you go. Make sure they move smoothly. Then you put the little lids on. Like that. So I'm just going to hand tighten them for now. Then I'll tighten them up off camera. Then the idle mixture screws. Once again, you want to inspect them, make sure they're not damaged to the point where they ain't going to work. And these, I might need to use a screwdriver for this, but I want to run them in all the way and back them out about a turn and a half. That way it'll make it leaning up to where it'll start, but not so lean that it'll cause issues. So I'll probably want to do this with the screwdriver. I think the Torx from that they use on the top should fit. You also want to make sure these things go in properly, because if they cross already, they're in trouble. So anyway, let me get all this tightened down and put this little cap back in here. Which I kind of hate these caps, because they always dry rot like that, especially when they're on gasoline. So this one still seems to be fine, surprisingly. Let's see how long that lasts. So let me go ahead and tighten these flaps down, and essentially the carburetor will be rebuilt. They're just putting them back on the car, filling up with gas. Well, trying to get the car to start, fill up the fuel flip bowls, and hopefully it will idle properly. There are ways to tune these. I'm going to use the vacuum method, where you just adjust in the way you get the best vacuum you can. And that's basically it. How Edlebrock wants you to do it. They want you to use a tachometer since I don't have a tack in the car, nor do I have one that connects to like the timing light, whatnot. I can't do it that way. So, but what they want you to do, they want you to set it kind of like that, then set your idle where you want your idle to be. Car's gonna be warmed up 100% for this. I want you to set your idle where you want it to be, then you kind of turn it out or in to the idle changes, then you readjust the idle and do it a couple times on each side, and that will pretty much give you your setting for that. So anyway, let me go ahead and get this stuff all put back together, and I'll get these set to where I want it to be. Alright, so see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, I got the carburetor back together. Like I said, I ran these down all the way in. Well, up to where it felt like it was going to strip, pretty much. Then I turned them back out, about a turn and a half. Trying to get them as even as possible. I also tightened these down. Like I said, you just want to snug them up and maybe give it like another quarter turn. Verifying the air door opens up properly, which it does. So yeah, now it's time to put it back on the car. I'm going to grab a gasket, which I'm going to grab probably this one right here. Nah, I'm going to grab this one because this one I know will fit. Then, well, the gasket that came off the car seemed fine, but I'm going to replace it with a new one anyway. That way I can make sure it is fine. I don't want no surprises. I might take the element with me as well. I don't know. They both use the outside holes that I need, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, let me go ahead and put this carburetor back on the car and see if I can fire the car up, and hopefully it'll be fixed and I won't have no flooding issues. So see y'all in just a second. Alright, so I got the carburetor back on the car. I got everything hooked up. The electric choke, the fuel line, the linkages. I made sure I put the turn spring back on because that's kind of important, as you see. One thing I didn't do because I kind of forgot was the choke adjustment. Hopefully it still runs. Well, it was fine before, so hopefully it's still fine. I sprayed some with a penetrating oil in there to hopefully work as starting fluid since the flip bolts are empty. That may or may not work. Not a big deal. Once the flip bolts fill up, it should fire up. So, fingers crossed. I haven't tried starting this thing up yet. So, this may be successful, or I might have a fire on my hands. So, well. Alright, well, she fired right up, so that's good. And she's still running. She sounds good too. Idling nice. So once she gets warmed up, I'll be able to set the idle mixture, which you want to hook it up to this sport right here, because that's a constant vacuum. The other side is only vacuum when you're on the throttle, I think. Either way, I'll hook up my vacuum gauge to that, then I'll be able to set it just right, and I'll be able to set the idle afterwards. So I'll see y'all once this star's warmed up, but so far she sounds good. I'm actually kind of happy. These Edlebrock carburetors are a heck of a lot more easier to rebuild than those rock testers that these things come with from the factory. And Holly's even easier than these. But anyway, I'll see y'all in a few minutes. Alrighty guys, so my car is just about warmed up. It's in hot idle right now. And I got my 90 vac plugged in. But the best I'm going to get to a vacuum gauge. And as you see, it's kind of on vacuum. It is kind of wavering around a little bit, which is kind of normal on an older engine. Kind of want that to be rock steady, but that could be due to timing and whatnot. So what I'm about to do is hook up get my screwdriver ready. What I'm about to do is these screws I'm going to turn them in and out to where you didn't like that adjustment, so I'm going to turn it in. Turn it to where I get more the most vacuum as I possibly can. So, kind of liking that. Alright, now it's time to go back, so I turn back a little bit. I'll do the same to the other side. Doesn't like that. So that's basically what I'm gonna do. Just foot around with those. So I try to get about 20 inches of mercury. That's about where I would like to be. I don't know if I'm actually gonna get that, but you know, I'm gonna try. I'm probably also going to try to lower down the idle too. That will also help. Well, when we get this figured out, you want to make sure this is rich enough to where it doesn't stall, but lean enough to where you don't foul it, your spark plugs and burn through all your gas while you're just sitting still. So let me get this done, and I'll show you the results when I'm done. Okay. Alrighty, so come on, focus. I can't get much better than that. I did drop down the idle a little bit, and it did move up. But now it did a little more adjustment, move back down. So I guess 16 inches of mercury is about all I'm going to get. Like I said, it could be because the timing might be off on this. What I kind of suspect. Also because it's just a worn-out motor. It does have maybe like 230,000 miles on it or something like that. So that's also a possibility. But either way, it hasn't flooded out yet, and the thermal response is right on the money. Watch you make a liar out of me. But yeah, this car is happy. I'm happy with it. So, well, I'm gonna call that a success. Y'all know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. My username will be in the description for Twitter if you want to give me a follow. Basically, be safe, have fun, and don't forget to tip your waitress. Alrighty guys, this is just a little bonus clip. I still had that problem where when I turned the car off, it will kind of diesel for a little bit, not exactly want to turn off all the way. A bunch of people were telling me to adjust the timing, which I'm glad I did because it was set at 0 instead of 12 degrees. Though I think the factory spec is 8 degrees, but it's common to have 12 degrees on a small block like this. But I sure as heck got a lot better vacuum. I'm not able to get this to focus. I got just about 19, 18-ish inches of mercury, which still is a little low in my opinion, but it is a lot better, and the machine's running a lot better too. And the best part is, hopefully this don't make a liar out of me. When I go to turn it off, she turns off. And she fires right back on. I've also noticed that the exhaust pulses sound a lot better too. It's not all it sounds right. It's like it's not. It even smells a lot better too. It doesn't smell nowhere near as rich since the exhaust isn't being burnt in the exhaust pipe. It's being burnt in the combustion chamber like it's supposed to. It still kind of smells because the catalytic converter on this thing's garbage. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. I might actually be able to drive this thing around without having to worry about it blowing up on me. So, yeah, I figure I'll throw this in here, throw this little clip in here for y'all to know exactly how it's going on. So, I already said everything I needed to say earlier, so y'all just be safe and have fun. Cheers.